The purpose of the following video is not to intentionally offend people, but to express my own opinion, which is useless and smaller than any other opinion of another human being. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good tomorrow, everyone. I am Jose Maria Robines, known as Tzemo Weinein. Today, in this podcast, I will discuss the following topic. ROMY'S episode from Pink and the Brain triggered me. It all started after posting the previous podcast on Brinky's ship toxicity. I, out of curiosity, skipped many episodes of Pinky and the Brain to see the episode where Romy, the son of Pinky and Brain, appears. Unfortunately, that episode gave me a tremendous repulsion, and it took me a whole day to finish with a new stage of anxiety and obsession that damn episode caused me. However, before the analysis, first, before anything else, a summary of the episode. Brain wants to make a clone of himself, but Pinky ruins Brain's plan by chance when his nail flew to the experiment site after cutting it off. The result is not a clone, but in quotes, biological child of Pinky and Brain. Brain is very upset to discover that his clone was not completely the same as him, but that the clone's genes were his and Pinky's combined genes. So Brain decides to raise the little mouse, which Pinky named Romy, together with Pinky. However, Brain only sets out to train him to be completely equal to him and thus his help to conquer the world, but Pinky wanted to raise him as a normal child and also with hiding intentions that he is equal to him, but Pinky was much kinder, motherly, because Pinky acted like a mom, and fun with his own zone than Brain. And a year passed, and Pinky gave Romy a birthday cake with a candle, while Brain already wanted him to collaborate more in his plan to conquer the world. However, Romy didn't want to conquer the world, but wanted to be a ventriloquist. And then Brain gets upset and scolds him, saying the typical thing that all parents say to their own children to screw up their self-esteem, and thus control them better. That the past was better and that children should be equal to parents and that they should not improve their living conditions and make them better than the other generation because that's for weak freaking cowards. That's not exactly what Brain says, but that's what I got from his lecture, his preaching. And Romy emphasizes to both of his parents that he can't be calm without witnessing that they are arguing all the fucking time. After a while, Brain got angry and grabbed Pinky's nose and declared that all privileges would be taken away from Romy, and Romy, very scared and stressed by the situation, runs away from home. Pinky proposes to search for him, but Brain denies the proposal while disowning his own zone. After Brain didn't eat or drink for a few days, Pinky again insisted that they must find their own son, and Brain this time agrees. While they are looking for him, Romy wanders down a road and on the outskirts of the city finds a bar. He was about to fall into alcoholism when he himself saw a girl who was being mistreated by a bully, and Romy falls in love with her and he defeats the bully himself. When Pinky and Brain were about to give up on their search, Romy sent a letter to them, but in the letter itself, it said that Pinky was the one the letter was originally addressed to, and in that same letter, Romy told Pinky that that letter shouldn't be read by Brain, but Pinky is so dumb shit that he allows Brain to read the letter anyway. and they find the address from which Romy wrote the letter to Pinky. The two of them go to the address, and Romy opens the door of the apartment he shares with his girlfriend, and he is upset that both of his parents appeared in front of him. Then Romy's girlfriend appears behind him, and Brain began to behave like the typical backward father who disapproves of a relationship just because of the physical appearance of his son's girlfriend. The bride then takes the floor and gives Brain a well-deserved little speech about accepting all beings regardless of race, gender, religious belief, or physical appearance. However, the idiot Brain shuts up the lady, and from them the two mice began to enter the apartment. So Brain starts to criticize the place where his own son lives and his new lifestyle, and then tries to apologize to Romy to no avail because Brain is so screwed up on emotional intelligence that he can't quite express his apology clearly. But fortunately for the situation, and unfortunately for me, Romy forgives Brain even though his idiotic, selfish father was evidently never apologized. And to increase my anger at the episode, Romy, before saying goodbye to them, tells them that he does not want to return to the lab because it gave him bad memories, but said that he was going to miss both of his parents. What he said made me very angry, and I will tell you why later. Finally, Brain and Pinky leave their son's apartment, and Pinky wants to make Brain promise that they will not disappoint another son again. But Brain says that he does not have time and that they had to prepare for tomorrow night to take over the world. Now, finally, comes the analysis of this episode which made me angry as well as hurt my feelings. Well, I decided to start an analysis right in the middle of the episode where I myself concluded that Brain behaved like an abusive husband and Pinky behaved like a submissive wife. I got that because many abusive fathers have this behavior, many submissive mothers are the ones who are more understanding. I don't really know what I'm talking about, it's a cognitive distortion, not guaranteed as such, and those who cannot defend their own children or herself in the face of her husband's mistreatment. When Brain enacts his own retrograde speech praising the past and miserable life of a lab mouse to his own son, it hurt me, made me angry, and made me insult Brain. That caused those feelings on me because I do not tolerate children and teenagers being belittled and dehumanized in that way. It is not their fault that their generation has had a better life than theirs, and I've been through that already because my grandmother and my mother seemed to wait for the day when my great-grandfather would come back to life and beat me hard just for complaining about doing housework. They weren't exactly saying it like that, but that's how I got it from them. Not only did that happen to me, but it also happens to many teenagers who also who go through and will go through these unpleasant situations. I almost forgot about children because they are also victims of dehumanization on the part of their parents because the stupid themselves did not know how to deal with their traumas, nor did they know how to seek help because they are ignorant. Or it also happens that help is at hand and they do not even dare to take it because of their arrogance that caused them the optimistic bias of which any human being was, is, and will be a victim. You know, that bias that makes you say, it didn't happen to me, it doesn't happen to me, and this won't happen to me. Also, not only poor children and dehumanized No, also rich children and those of the middle class can be dehumanized in some way or another just because they belong to a different generation or have different tastes than the current generation, and the lack of attention and neglecting can be forms of dehumanization too, of course. There are children and teenagers today or from any different social classes who are psychologically abused just because they like current music, or just because they watch current cartoons that their parents dislike, just because the parents think about their own vision of reality instead of having empathy with the tastes of their children. For that and many other reasons, there are many dysfunctional families, and it is not uncommon for many of them to go to the fucking freaking hell. Returning to the topic, we will anticipate the scene in which Romy goes to a bar and while asking for a glass of beer, he emphasizes with sadness, anger and much disappointment that his father treated him as if he were a lap mouse, and remembering it makes me sad. But hey, let's not get off topic. And he was about to swallow his first drink when he saw what would be his girlfriend at the end of the episode, and we all know what happens afterwards because I already told it. And what happens? Didn't you realize that Romy was going to fall into alcoholism at that time? Also, having such a girlfriend appear to him is not very realistic after all, because that is very unlikely to happen in reality, or in the worst case almost impossible. The most realistic thing that would happen would be for Romy to end up living as an alcoholic and drug addict for the rest of his days until death. However, if there was the possibility that a girlfriend who later stayed with him, which can happen but very rarely happens, Romy, in addition to defending her from the bullies and discovering that she has some basic knowledge of psychology, although she was not a psychologist as such, he would also learn from his girlfriend that he's worthy to being happy and living better, as well as being able to live calmly without forgiving brain. He too would learn to deal with his emotional trauma and ask a certified and professional psychologist for help unless his girlfriend is a psychologist. And so Romy would have the necessary drive to improve as a humanized cartoon mouse and have the strengthen the relationship with his girlfriend. Of course, if the relationship has problems, of course it will have them. Only that a healthy relationship focuses on how to solve problems instead of creating new problems or find someone to blame, which unfortunately many couples do, and which leads to more psychological problems, dependency, and much unhappiness. So what I advise is to cut those toxic relationships and go to therapy, because life is too short and more varied to continue to depend on your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend psychologically. Now we go to the end, one of the endings that most made my heart restless and with a lot of anger inside. Romy, even though Brain criticized his new lifestyle, and even though Brain evidently never apologized even if he tried, proving once again how idiotic he is despite being a genius, forgave Brain and said that he would miss him as well as Pinky. Then I asked myself the following questions: but is it possible that children can forgive the parents who have hurt them? If that is perhaps possible, even though I do not want to believe it, can we live in peace without forgiving to the parents who have hurt us? And I, speaking on Discord with Asik, a Discord user great friend of mine, I realized that you can live without forgiving abusive parents because they have damaged someone psychologically, and forgiveness often implies an opportunity for them so that they can hurt that someone much more. This will happen unless the parents change their attitude and their way of seeing the world for the better. Their forgiveness of them, the forgiveness to them is valid, but it is one's decision, because if the pain is still hit there, it is better not to forgive them yet. Also, if the pain and trauma are still there seriously, it is advisable to go to therapy with a very reliable psychologist. Please, seriously, you, if you are a pedantic denier with a lot of trauma, please put aside your prejudices and come to therapy for the love of God. Yes, choose your choice. Now, back to the topic. The most realistic thing that would have happened was that Romy argued with his father for the last time, and then Romy would confess to Brain his hatred and that he will never forgive him, and that will cause Brain eternal guilt to death, and that will be good for Brain because he deserves it for being an asshole. Although Brain will give me a bit of pity, but if Brain wants to improve with guilt eating at him, reflect on his life, his actions, know himself, and accept the fact that Romy will never forgive him again, and start a new life beyond his useless and futile megalomaniac plans. I know that Pinky and the Brain is a cartoon for children, I know, but if we think about it, that something is fictional or for children does not mean that it does not have to have a logic or look for one. The human being is a rational being with the capacity for reasoning and critical judgment. And I would like to use these skills to see what is wrong and thus contribute something to this chaotic and infinite world called reality, so that my existence is not so insignificant and fight with the anxiety and anguish caused by the fact that I will die and be forgotten. Seriously, poor Rami, he really needs to go to therapy. But not only him, his parents have to go to therapy too. Seriously, if I were Romy and I left the house, seriously, I commented on my Discord server, I would yell at Brain. Fuck off, fuck you, I won't forgive you, motherfucker. You harmed me enough, and I can't bear this anymore. Fuck off, fuck you, go to that freaking fucking hell, asshole. Goodbye, motherfucker. I know, I didn't yell it enough, but if my family discovers me yelling these words, they will kill me, okay? Jesus Christ. Well, that's all for today. Jose Maria Robines Gnaun Tzemo Weinein says goodbye. I hope this video has opened up your view of the world more. If you liked it, like it, comment and share it. Really do it, because I am interested in knowing the opinion of all of you, because I want to improve and I want to know more to improve more. Thank you very much for your support. Really, thank you very much. Goodbye.